Hey folks, happy spring. Really great to see you here today, whether you're coming on live or coming on the replay, which is usually how I watch a lot of lives just before I go to bed at night to get some brand new ideas. So I want to talk to you about a really important topic today, and that is, what are you supposed to invest in? Like, how are you supposed to figure all that out? Of course, many of you know I'm Karen Trepti of KT Finances, and that I give 100% free financial consultations. There's never any charge. I market for over 100 of the top financial firms in the United States, so I represent a lot of pretty fantastic companies. And plus, I can get you some of the newest products out there that you may not have even heard of. But for today, and I'll remind you again at the end of this call that that's an open invitation to you. But for today, I really want to give you a lot of value around, thank you for hopping on, a lot of value around what some of your options might be. So let's say that you go to a traditional financial planner. You might have to pay a couple $1,000s, which again, you don't with me. But you're going to be asked, first of all, to fill out some sort of a questionnaire, or at least have a chat with them to find out what your risk tolerance is. And this is really super important because there's all kinds of different investment products out there. Now, if you want to get rich quick, you want to do commodities, or as my daughter sometimes says, throw all the money on red, like in a gambling hall and a poker wheel or whatever. Sorry, I don't do that, so I don't know even the terminology very well. I don't do that. That's not even what I offer you. So, but there's plenty of investments out there that are uber risky. And if you happen to be in the lucky, I don't know, less than half of 1% and strike it rich, you might strike it rich. But I don't recommend that. So normally when you go to a financial planner, you'll find out what your risk level is. Like, is that casino type gambling investments that you're looking for? That would be considered ultra aggressive on the scale. Are you looking for investing in the bond market, which, as my finance professor told me, many of you might know I have an MBA and a master's in Asia Pacific Studies, and my dad opened Merrill Lynch in Tokyo, so this stuff has been in my blood for a long time. But traditionally, people might invest in like the bond market for some sort of safe, although as my finance professor told me, it's not really safe because it fluctuates too. Some sort of product where you're getting more than the 0.1% interest that you might get in a bank. Interest rates that might exceed something that you might get in an ultra-conservative investment like a CD, a certificate of deposit, where you're ensuring them that you're going to give them your money for a certain length of time. They will invest it and they'll guarantee you like that rate for whatever the term is. Again, there's tons and tons of products, and we're not going to cover them all today, but I want you to have a really good idea of what the basics are, so that whether you use me, you use somebody else, you know what you're looking for, and you know what's really going to suit your goals. So sometimes people will use bonds for that, and there's different categories of bonds. So there's different grades of bonds. If you buy a bond through the U.S. government, that is considered to be one of the safest investments that that you can get. Again, nobody can predict the future for you, regardless of who they are. But the US government, at least currently, is considered to be like one of the safest investments. That means that your return is going to be pretty small. Okay? So there's this whole big spectrum that I want to explain to you between tips or, US bond securities, that type of thing, and just maybe commodities or gold, something that's super risky, or something that some people are doing right now today is, and thanks for hopping on, is Bitcoin. Now, I want to warn you, I'm not an expert on Bitcoin, nor do I ever really want to be one. And here's why. Because it's not established, it is super, super risky. Not only that, in talking to my chiropractor who knows a lot of very wealthy people, I'm in Marin County, California, knows himself of actually 2 people who invested heavily in Bitcoin. And yeah, they could put their money in, but the question is, how are you going to get it out? So, nothing that I deal with, X. What I prefer, and then there are all sorts of middle of the road investments, which might be a mix of like stocks and bonds, that kind of thing. So if you say on that scale of aggressive to conservative, you're not at either end, but you're in the middle, you want a decent return on your money, but you don't want to take on 10 tons of risk. There's all kinds of products that are there. Some of the good ones being like a Roth IRA or investing, which can invest in a lot of different instruments. So some of those being like index funds, and what they do is they go up with a whole big group of stocks. Sometimes you can get them with bonds, a whole big group of bonds. So essentially not just betting on like one horse, one company, you're betting on the movement of a basket or a group of a certain category of companies. So it could be blue chip companies that are really well established. It could be startup firms that are really very risky. But even if you diversify your risk and you get a whole bunch of startup companies, it's a lot safer than just one, right? So those are really kind of the traditional ways to invest your money. And what I'd love to introduce you to today is a product that's called Indexed Universal Life. And a lot of people, now this is a brand new product, guys. So a lot of people think that life insurance is just money that you're giving your children or your significant other or whoever you decide to pass that on to. And by the way, that's not a bad idea, especially if you have young children, because what if, God forbid, something happens to, you and your spouse, and suddenly your children are young and they're not making income. I mean, that is essential, really. You've got to have coverage in that area too. But what I'm talking to you about today is actually an investment vehicle. So it's called Indexed Universal Life. Now, it's not in the market, which, listen carefully. Hopefully I'm being clear enough. You're welcome to ask me any questions. I know this is my jam, so if this is getting too technical, just reach out. We'll have a brief chat and I'll clear it all up for you. But Indexed Universal Life actually mirrors the market, but your money's not in the market. And once again, I think it's really important for you to know this is not like a business out of the back trunk of my car. Like, I don't ever handle your money. I simply market for the big guys. So I help you figure out what your goals are, and then I help you figure out which products are best for whatever your goals are to make that work for you. And then when you're actually physically writing the check, which is more likely these days to be electronic debits, right? It goes to the big companies. It doesn't come to Karen Treptia at all. So I want to make that super clear. So the Index Universal Life is actually a combination of like a life insurance product and an investment product. And I only represent companies that are ultra safe because that's what I believe. That's what I was taught. My dad, who opened Merrill Lynch in Tokyo, taught me don't ever put anything in the market that you're not willing to just lose. So this brand new product, you can actually put money in there and know that you will never even lose like 1 penny of your capital, because when the market goes up, your money goes up with the market. The difference is with Index Universal Life is that when the market starts going down, your money has a lock on it, so you never lose a penny. Sure, it's not growing much when the market is plummeting, but your money is not plummeting. And believe me, that is a humongous advantage. When the market starts going up again, your money goes up again and grows. So it's perfect for most people who are in good health, who are young enough to be in good health, to really increase your funds. You don't pay any taxes on it, which that alone is such a huge advantage. You figure that most people are paying somewhere close to 30% of their money in taxes, whether it's 24, 26, 28, whatever the actual figure is. It's a lot of money, guys. And if you think about that compounding, I have another YouTube video on compounding interest if you want to be able to understand that more. But it's a lot of money. So if you get an Index Universal Life, which is probably the most popular product that I sell, you're never going to have to pay taxes on that. Yes, you always have to pay taxes on your income once, but you don't always have to pay taxes again and again and again every year like you would on a savings account on the money that you're earning. So, this is getting a little bit lengthy, I know. Thanks for hanging in with me so far. Please ask me any questions. I just adore helping you with this. It's really super fun for me, and there's zero cost to you. So the worst that could happen is that you'll learn even more about finance, and the best that can happen is that you will be wealthy, and you'll have yourself protected, your family protected, and you will end up really wealthy. So sending you guys tons of light and love, and that's it for this week. Happy spring. Ciao.